Alright guys, well here we go. It is early March and I'm back out on the farm today finally doing some food plot stuff. I couldn't be more excited to get back out here. It's been a long winter, so I'm pumped up. But just wanted to kind of explain to you guys what I'm doing today and why. A lot of guys hear the term frost seeding food plots and they really don't know where to start. So today I'm taking what was a food plot that I planted last year into monster buck rut greens. This soil has been worked, been tilled, the seed bed is phenomenal, and today I'm actually going to come out here and put some seed on top and hopefully get some clover to grow in this food plot. Last year when I planted this plot, I wasn't sure what to expect. I was very surprised with how it turned out. It was awesome. I actually had some of my best sits of the year on this plot. There was big brassicas, big bulbs. I couldn't be more excited how the seed performed. The one thing I wish I would have done a little differently is I did not expect there to be this much deer in this area, and so by mid-October, late October, this food plot was almost completely depleted of all the food it had. And so this year I got to throw a little bit of a wrench in that and try to change it up on the deer. So I'm going to plant clover, which I'm hoping gives me a lot more tonnage. There's a lot more browse resistance to it, and hopefully it can sustain what we have here. I'm also going to try to make this food plot a little bit bigger. Currently it's just over a half acre. I think 0.56 acres is the exact number. So I'm going to add on to the south of this food plot here later in July and put that back into rut greens. So there's going to be a mixture of rut greens and clover. It's going to be about a 50-50 mix, but it should be perfect. Like I said, there was just a ton of deer in here last year. I think the first time I sat here, I saw 23 mature does. And a lot of times in the plot there was, 8 or 9 of them at the same time. But I did do my best. I ended up taking 3 or 4 different does out of here, so that should help with the numbers a little bit. I'm sure a lot of them will just obviously reproduce and come into this area stronger than they were last year. But I'm just hoping to be able to get these deer fed all the way throughout the season, and hopefully it's good for my buddy late season. So right now, just gonna go load the seeder up, do a little frost seeding. For those of you guys that don't know what frost seeding is, it's coming out here in early March, late February, and putting some clover into the ground. This is the perfect time of the year for it because the ground is expanding and contracting as it frosts and thaws throughout the day. So what happens is the small seed that's sitting on top of the soil eventually works itself into the soil, and when it gets to about 40 degrees, the clover can germinate, and which hopefully leads to a lush clover plot. So that's the plan for today. Shouldn't take me long. Like I said, this is just over a half acre, so should be a couple laps around, and gonna try to nail it on the seed rate. I measured it out with a food scale from my mom and put it in a Ziploc bag, so should be the exact perfect rate. I'm gonna mark my tracks on Onyx just to make sure that I'm not missing anything, but I can't wait to get to work. Finally out here doing some deer stuff, so here we go. Alright guys, well I just basically wrapped this up, and it doesn't really take very long. I was probably only out here for 15 minutes, so when you're doing a small plot like this, it's pretty quick work. I basically just did a big loop around, and then I did diagonal just to make sure I got correct seed exposure on the entirety of the plot. One of the main things that I see guys struggle with in terms of frost seeding food plots is they're just doing the approach that I took last year, and that's just going out and trying the throw and grow method, not having really good seed to soil contact, and that just doesn't work out very well. My recommendation on food plots, especially frost seeding, is you want good seed to soil contact, you want a good seed bed, you want to put in the effort that way that something grows. And I understand that not every plot is like that, whether you can't get a tractor out there, you can't work the soil, and so that's your best option. But in terms of frost seeding food plots, I think the biggest mistake guys are making is not throwing it on top of a food plot that's already been worked, already been manicured, and the seed to soil contact just isn't there. But for the time being, I actually have pretty minimal maintenance on this plot after this. I'm gonna come in 3 or 4 weeks, or right after first emergence of the clover, and I'm gonna fertilize it pretty heavily right before rain. That way the clover has everything it needs to grow, and there's no excuses other than, you know, just maybe some operator error. But I'm looking forward to it. After that, we should have a really lush clover stand for next year to hunt during the fall. I'm gonna come in here and mow it during the summertime, maybe 3 or 4 different times right around the major holidays in the summer. And other than that, I'm really excited. Each year, this kind of becomes my favorite time of the year, just in terms of, you know, teeing things up, making your hunting a little bit better for the fall. And it's kind of a sweat equity game. The more work you put in, the more you're gonna get out of your seasons. So I'm hoping this turns out really nice. It was good running into a lot of you guys at the Iowa Deer Classic. I was there all weekend, and I just appreciate a lot of you guys stopping and talking and saying hi. For me, on most of the fronts, I haven't really been out doing much deer stuff. It's just been kind of a dead period for me in terms of making content, but I have been out a few times shed hunting and found some good sheds and some bucks that I'm really, really excited about for next year. And man, there's gonna be some giants if all turns out right. So, but as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and let me know in the comments what you guys have found in terms of, you know, your frost seed success on food plots like this. I'm always interested, I'm always learning. And so if you guys got any tips or tricks on making a really good clover stand, let me know down below. But as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate the support.